Hey, what's up, everybody? Hey, this is I was trying to go live on on Facebook. Wait a minute. I was trying to go live on YouTube, and it tells me I have to verify my account or something like that. But anyways, so this is the second part of the sports show, I guess if you want to call it that. Um, this is so I ended off in the first part talking about the UFC, right? Talking about the UFC and about how it's more of kind of like a dramatized storyline, right? That they're using for that. But to wrap it up with the Conor McGregor thing and the Khabib thing, um, it was an entertaining fight. I'm willing to watch the second one, and I think that's what it's all about, right? Are you still going to be engaged to the to the fight? So that being said, there was some other great fights. The Derek Lewis knocked that big old giant Russian dude out at the very end. I thought that was amazing. I thought that was amazing. The way that he beat him at the end, I thought was impressive. They obviously were both tired. They're heavyweights when they go 3 rounds. We all know what kind of happens. But the cool thing is that the Tony Ferguson fight with Anthony Pettis, that was a tremendous fight. That showed a lot of promise. I don't know if Conor or Khabib are willing to fight that guy because he seems pretty disruptive with how he fights. He's really good. I think it's going to be a huge challenge. But this whole idea of being the best, you got to go through all those people, dude. You got to you can't be scared to fight these animals. And that's one thing you got to give Conor credit for, is this idea that he fought one of the most feared fighters in the division. Period. You got to give him credit for that. He had 2 years off, and there's obviously some rust. I just finished watching some of the podcasts with Joe Rogan and Kavanaugh, and so he even talked about there being some rust, and his timing wasn't all there. So there's a lot to be said about that. Okay, he came back not to do like a warm-up fight. He came back to fight the top fighter, the guy that everybody's mauling. And it's funny how Khabib, didn't miss, he didn't miss a step. So he did what he had to do, and it was great. It was a great fight. I'd pay to watch it again. Anyways, but the Tony Ferguson Anthony Pettis fight was tremendous. The Derek Lewis versus Volkov fight was tremendous. It looked like Derek Lewis was gonna lose that fight, man, but he hit him with the 1-2, wow, bam, knocks his, and then the memes are insane about that fight, man. And Derek Lewis is so funny the way he, at the end, where he said that Trump called him to beat this Russian up and all that kind of stuff. So I thought it was funny. It was very entertaining, man. That kind of made it worth it. Also, too, okay, so there's that, right? And then so that's kind of, we wrapped it up with the UFC. There's more I can talk on about that, but let's kind of move on to another subject. I'm going to switch gears here to talk about Tom Brady. Tom Brady being 41 years old and still killing it. He's being really impressive. He's got his team 3-2. Everybody kind of wrote them off. Oh, they're 1-2. They're not going to win anymore. Blah, blah, blah. Is it over? Nope, nope, nope. Like I've always been saying, that when you have a quality owner who's willing to make moves and to adjust, and you have a quality coaching staff, it makes a great player legendary. It makes a good player great. It makes a lot of these. So the combination of Tom Brady being a really good athlete and a really good football player, a really good sportsman, it helps tremendously with the combination of the management, the coaching staff, all those things put together is what you're seeing. So there's a good collaboration amongst all the different levels. So obviously Tom Brady is doing his part to help the team be successful, but in combination with the coaching staff addressing that and being part of that too. So I think that's a huge thing. So this whole thing about naysayers about Tom Brady, if he was in another system, he might not do so well. I think there's a lot to that. A lot of people say, no, he's the GOAT, he's the GOAT, he's the GOAT. Football is the epitome of a team sport. It's a team activity. There are so many moving parts. For you to attribute all the success to one player, it's impossible. Even the quarterback who touches the ball every single game, And they all talk about it. They all talk about he's the best. He's the best. It's because of him. Yes, he's a huge factor. He's a quality, consistent player. His consistency is noted. He comes in every single day and puts work in. He knows the coaching staff. He knows the philosophy. He knows the scheme, the strategies. He understands all. He's lockstep with the coaches and the ownership. So that's what you're seeing right there. You're seeing everybody in sync that needs to be in sync. And then all these other players come in, and it's easy for them to get assimilated to the system. Look who Tom Brady threw his 500th touchdown pass to a guy they wrote off as a drug addict, Gordon. Now, here's the thing. Okay, what's interesting about that? Josh Gordon has a history of drug abuse and all this other stuff. If he can turn it around, he can turn it around in New England. They have a good system in place to help people like that. Now, here's the bad part, okay? If he turns his seat, which I suspect is going to happen, he's going to turn his season around. He's going to perform really well. He's going to do really. He's going to outperform expectations. What's going to happen is, after the season's over, if he does well and he stays healthy, he's going to want this huge contract to go somewhere else. New England's not going to pay him. He should stay in New England and make a home there, because he could theoretically help extend Tom Brady's career to these 2 or 3 years that he wants to play more after this year. So it'll help him. He can get a decent contract, but it'll put him in the clear. He can move on in a couple years when he develops these really good habits and some solid discipline. That's what you need, dude. Discipline in the mental game, and New England is a spot. Everybody talks about it. All the former players talk about it. They all rave about it. I think that's a huge thing. Josh Gordon, don't go nowhere. Get your stuff ready. Get your stuff in order. Get going. And what you do is you stay there. And you have a 5 or 6 year career there. And then you can move on. Because then you've developed all the good habits that could make you successful. Everybody else does it. So don't go nowhere else, dude. Don't chase the money after 1 year. Sign a long-term contract there. You can do really well there. Tom Brady and the next quarterback that's going to be coming in, because they're going to draft a quarterback next year and the year after that, please believe they're going to try to find the next guy that they can pay on the cheap. Because the thing is that Tom Brady, you're never going to find a guy that is going to be such a high-level player that is going to play for $20 million a year, $10, $15 million a year. He averaged, I think, like $16 million a year through his whole, or $12 million a year through his whole 20-year career. That's never going to happen again. It has never happened before that, and it's never going to happen in the future. So the unicorn that is Tom Brady, you got to look for somebody that kind of resembles him in the fact that he's willing to take less money, be such a high-profile athlete, and he made money other ways. But anyways, so that's that's the whole Tom Brady thing, right? Very, very interesting. Then you have the Dodgers. They lost Game 3. They're in town. They're playing right now as we speak. Game 4. Let's hope they close it out. Nobody wants to go to Game 5 because anything can happen. They're playing good. Again, their bats, Manny Machado, Yasiel Puig. Are they going to win? Are they going to do it? So I don't see why not. They're 1 win away from going to the National League Championship, and then they're 4 wins away from going to the World Series again. I like our odds. We're in the game. That's the whole thing, is we're in the battle. We're in the battle. Okay? And then, we get to these coaches, right? These head coaches that are gone and come back for a long time, right? So I'm kind of circle back around. I'm going to try to connect the dots in this whole situation here. So we talked about Conor McGregor being rusty, right? So John Gruden of the Raiders is obviously showing some ring rust, if you would, in the coaching realm. He's making a bunch of mistakes. There's nobody that would have let Khalil Mack go. That was a huge blunder. I think that it's going to take him a year or maybe 2 to really get adjusted to today's collective bargaining agreement, today's player, the NFL player today, not 10, 12 years ago. 10, 12 years ago, there was very little social media interaction on the players level. There was social media, but it was a relatively new thing 10 years ago. In 2001, 2002, 2003, I don't even think Facebook was around. So you got to deal with that. That's a real thing. I think that's an interesting dynamic of him getting up to speed with how all this stuff works. You know, from dealing with ownership, player personnel, the union reps, the players themselves. How do you connect with them? You know, is it going to be that old school way? Because if you got brought up in coaching and you were coaching in 2001, 2, 3, and 4, that means you learned the styles and the mannerisms of people from the 80s and 90s, and it was still, you know, people getting smacked around. It was still coaches being, you know, completely, you know, authoritative, completely controlling. You know, now it's almost like more of like a collaboration of sorts. And so he needs to get up to speed with that. You know, it's funny because he just jumped into the coaching world and they give him $10 million a year. It's funny because his rustiness is evident, just like Conor McGregor's rustiness in the sharpness and accuracy of his punches was accurate too. Both those guys needed they needed some kind of warm-up situation, and obviously they suffered the consequences of that. The Raiders are not going to have a winning season, you know, and as much as I come down on them, I kind of like to see them win, because when they do good, the whole league does good. So long story short, Chucky's got a long way to go. He's got to get rid of this ring rust, and you know, who knows, he might get let go after 2 years, because, you know, they don't factor that in because he wasn't supposed to have ring rust. But it's impossible to say, let's get back on this horse and let's run this, you know, $500 million machine from talking on TV. No, it's not going to happen. So all that being said, this is the second part of the show. The first part's going to usually be on Facebook Live, and then I'm going to do the rest of the show from YouTube Live, and I'm going to, at the end of it, I'm going to put both the shows together, and they'll live on the YouTube account. So if this was interesting, put a comment, tell me what you guys think. If it's not, put a comment, tell me what you think. Either way, I'm just having fun here, enjoying myself. These are my opinions, and if you don't agree, put in the comments and we can go back and forth. Maybe I could bring it up in the next one. So you guys have a good day, and thank you for watching.